What's up guys, and welcome to today's YouTube. Now I've titled this one 3 unconventional lower abs exercises you've been told not to do. Now I'm going to start this video with a disclaimer. These exercises aren't for everyone, and that's because I'm actually going to encourage you in this video to take yourself through a little bit more anterior pelvic tilt and a little bit more lumbar extension than what most people can tend to handle or have been told to do. So if you've got any kind of low back issues, I'd probably not recommend you do these. I would suggest you build up some resilience over time, some core strength, some abdominal strength over time before you do try these exercises. Now they're unconventional exercises because you've probably not seen them before, or if you have seen them, you've probably not seen them being performed like this. And they're lower abs exercises because they tend to bias that anterior posterior pelvic tilt and kind of generating force through that motion that we know in research through EMG studies tend to be a little bit better at activating that lower region of your abdominals. That's not to say they necessarily are a better hypertrophy exercise for that area, but they tend to target that area a little bit more than the rest of your abdominals. So I'm going to take you into the first exercise, so come follow along. As I said, bit of a disclaimer with these exercises, but if you're at the level, then give them a shot. So first exercise I'm going to take you through are what's called Soco crunches. Now these were named after Dr. Soco, who came up with these, and really the idea behind these is that you're generating force in a lengthened position, or your muscles are having to generate force in that lengthened position more at the bottom of the exercise. Unlike, for example, a hanging leg raise where there's very little tension at the bottom of the motion, and just bear in mind you can modify a hanging leg raise to make it a little bit better, which I'll maybe go into another time. But unlike a hanging leg raise where you lose tension at the bottom, this focuses on making you create as much tension as possible in your abdominals at the bottom of the movement. So I'm going to show you a bodyweight version of these to start off with. I've got a flat bench here. I'm going to take my butt off the end of the bench, line myself back and get myself locked in overhead with my arms into that bench. Now what you'll notice as I take my legs off, I'm going to go into some purposeful extension and anterior tilt of my pelvis. So I'm here, but off the end of the bench. I'm going to go into some extension, a real big stretch in my abdominals, almost like kind of create a belly there, okay? And then raise all the way up, about 2/3, and then come all the way back down, really trying to stretch out my abdominals at the bottom, okay? So I'm going into some extension, some anterior tilt, really loading that stretch, and then raising back up, okay? If I want to load these, so bear in mind, you want to obviously build some foundations, make sure you're strong with just using body weight alone, maybe just sets of 8 to 10 to start off with. If those become super easy, then just grab a dumbbell. So with the dumbbell, I'm just starting with 2.5 kgs, putting that between my legs, same idea, but off the end of the bench, get myself super locked in. And again, as you'll notice, I'll go into some extension and anterior tilt. Raise 2/3 the way up, and then come all the way back down. Again, get as much length in my abdominals at the bottom as I can. So those are Soco crunches. Give them a go. Let me know how you get along. They're not easy. As I said, if you do have back issues, then I wouldn't recommend them. But if you've already built some good core strength, some good core resilience, then give them a shot and your abdominals will, well, there's probably nothing to compare them to. Your abdominals will love/hate them. Exercise number 2, I call these Bosu leg raises. They're a slightly easier version on your back than the Soco crunches I was just showing you, but they are a little bit more unstable. So I wouldn't necessarily say they're not as advanced. They're just as difficult, but in a slightly different way. So the key here really is to have your Bosu ball set up about maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet, depending on your height, away from a rack or something you can hold on to overhead. Now the idea here again is to take yourself through some extension, some lumbar extension and some anterior tilt, and really load that lengthened position at the bottom. The Bosu ball, because of the shape, allows kind of the wrapping of your spine around it. So it gives a little bit more support around your spine as compared to these Soco crunches. But as I said, they're still a challenge. So I'm going to get my butt off the edge, using kind of the curvature of that Bosu ball. I'm gonna get my hands overhead for that support. Legs are there. I'm gonna start off with get as much of a stretch as I can. Nice and slow, about 2/3 of the way up, all the way down, and get as much extension and anterior tilt as I can. So big stretch, and all the way up. Big stretch, and all the way up. So almost trying to create a belly with most of these exercises. Again, now, I'm not encouraging any kind of gym fuckery at all, but if you want to include some kind of loading in this, then you can put a dumbbell between your feet, or you can use some ankle weights. It might start looking a little bit extra. So there's exercise number 2 that you can give a try. Again, warning, if you're not already at least, been resistance training for a number of years and building your core and abdominal strength, then do not try these. Okay, let's dive into exercise number 3, the last exercise I'm going to share with you. All right, last exercise I'm going to share with you is a modified dragon flag. Now, I tend to teach these in the basic position to start off with, the basic modified position to start off with, without any kind of exaggeration of that lumbar overextension and kind of that anterior pelvic tilt. So I'm going to just take you through that version to start off with, okay, and what most of you will want to be doing with these. All right, so they're modified because, and just make note, we're on a decline bench at the moment. You can adjust the decline depending on how hard you want to make them. More of a decline, the harder they're going to be. Okay, so I'm going to have my hands overhead, and the modified version, I'm going to have one knee bent and one straight. So I'm going to take myself all the way to the top, and then almost unpill my spine. Control, 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 all the way down, keeping a kind of a straight, relatively aligned spinal position at the bottom. In the even more modified version, and the version with the disclaimer on it, we're going to take ourselves all the way down to the bottom and exaggerate that extension and anterior pelvic tilt. All right, so again, full disclaimer, you do need to be really advanced to be doing these, unless you do want your back to be in absolute agony the next day. So set yourself up here, one knee bent, one knee straight, okay? All the way to the top. As you come all the way down, we're going to exaggerate that extension, get a big stretch, and then repeat. All the way down, get that big stretch, and then repeats almost again, creating that kind of belly at the bottom. Many would probably not recommend these, and as you noted from the beginning of the video, I have put out some disclaimers, but if you are at the level where it causes no pain, no irritation, then you can get a lot out of all 3 of these exercises, simply because you're causing your abdominals to generate force in that lengthened position, which is a potent hypertrophy stimulus. So if you want to build deeply etched, high density abs, then you've got 3 exercises right there you can give a try, okay? But if you do try them and you're not at the level, then don't say I didn't warn you. Anyway, thank you for joining me today on this YouTube video. Lots more to come with future videos. Let me know in the comments below if you prefer these slightly shorter videos or more like lengthy 12, 15, 20-minute videos, okay? And also remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I know a lot of you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, but do kind of still check me out from time to time. So make sure you don't miss any future videos by hitting that subscribe button.